Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Are you in for a treat today? Welcome to New Year's Eve, Lollapalooza 2025. We have some amazing people. A couple have joined us before, Chase Gallagher and Matt McHale at the 8 a.m. gathering of the greats, and Mike Calhoun, of course, co-host for the day since 5 a.m. But we're joined by the one and only Billy B, Bill Reiman, RK Reiman, Jim Sabellico, author, coach, mentor, lover of people. Love you, buddy. Stephen
Thank you,
Ronald. I
brother.
used to walk around his office with golden truck nuts around my waist, and he not only put up with me, he changed my life. Bill Mervin was with us at 8 a.m. We've been through the ups and downs, car accidents, who knows what. Rob Wishnick, who taught me how to use Google, email. And did I missing anyone? Mike Calhoun, Mike Drop Calhoun. Thank you for being who you are. Today's been amazing. I got lots of coffee cups. And we're going to be talking about our word for 2020, last year, the future year, and I digress. Michael.
Gentlemen, how we doing this morning?
Doing
We
well,
have
brother.
Bill. We have two Bills. Chase, Rob, Matt. All right, we got a loaded crew here. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been doing this since 5 o'clock this morning. We have had, is it now, I think 8 or 9 individuals on. It's been pretty crazy. Some great conversations, and I think what actually makes it most interesting is to hear from each one of you. Like Matt, you were on the previous one, you got to know everybody there. So if you've been on one before, I'll kind of save you till like once the newer parties have gone. And then there are no new parties, by the way, in the sense of the relationship, tenure, or maturity. Everyone that is on the podcast or the call today has been on the actual Culture Matters podcast at least once, more than likely multiple times before. And some of them have actually done a day with Jay or even a culture puzzle project with Jay as well. So matter of fact, Jim, I remember you from last year, bud. That was we had a good time last year. It was an
We did.
entire 14 back-to-back podcasts on New Year's Eve. I think we've got 18 teed up for today, so we'll be going for quite a while. So let's do this. Let's do a little round robin. We're going to say probably Bill and Matt Bill, Matt, and Chase towards the end. So we'll hit the new parties here. Jim, you look like you're ready to rock. You got the tech ready to go here. Give me 30 to 40 seconds on, your brand, what you're working on, maybe a little family, and what's the big focus or word for 2026?
You were talking to me, right?
You got Jim, yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. So the word for 2026 is alignment. I spent most of my year in 2025 working under the word bold, which was a call to step into identity and kind of the work that I've been doing to really own my story. And that's a word, that phrase, own your story, is something that I'm really focusing heavily on this year. Because one of the things that I'm seeing in all the work that I do is this concept that your story is not holding you back, hiding it is. And it's just this real concept that like everyone has this past. Some of it feels brutal, some of it feels traumatic, some of it feels maybe less than stellar. And a lot of people are shy to kind of step into that. And one of the things that I see a lot when I work with people is, man, the freedom and the power that comes from actually owning your story, stepping into that and living in this free version of yourself. Everything kind of comes into alignment and it just really lifts up everyone around you. So for me, that's why the word alignment is so strong for this year, is really just to be in that feeling with every person I interact with, to really help them kind of step into who they were put on this earth to be. And so for me, that's the purpose for this year going forward.
And it makes you feel a little more rooted, right? Like you get the alignment right. It feels like you're coming from a place of authenticity. It kind of gives you the permission to put your foot on the gas, right? When
Yes.
you've got the wheels and tires out of alignment, it's just not as smooth. When things are rolling pretty smooth, you want to go a little quicker, and it feels better. Um, Thank you for that, Jim. Rob, let's go with you next, sir. If you could just give us a little bit of a 30-second understanding, what is the core business? Maybe a little bit on the family. What's the big focus? What is the North Star for 2026? Or if you've got a word for it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, great to be here. Good morning, guys. It's been a longer morning for some of us than others, so thanks for sticking with us. And uh, I'm just a lowly loan officer in this crazy room of highly esteemed people here. So my business is residential mortgages, and my entering my 23rd year in the business. And last year was a year of evolution in a sense, where a lot of my typical focus, I had to move away a little bit to evolve the business as the mortgage industry is changing. So 2026 is back to my word, obsession. Um, Great loan officers and great salespeople and great business people obsess about their business and obsess about certain aspects of their business and what their superpower is. And 2026, my obsession with what is the core of my business now can move on and as the business has evolved. So very excited for it. We have a New Year's tradition that we spend on the shore each New Year's Eve with some close friends and family, and we're continuing that tradition again for the sixth year. So lots to look forward to in 2026.
Beautiful. Good man. Good man.
Can I just
It
say,
sounds like
if you were in that for 23 years, you are a true professional in that industry, because that is one of those industries that you see people come and go. And the fact that you've gone through this and we've seen what the last 23 years has been in your industry, you're an absolute rock star. So, and no matter what room you're in, you are a professional. You are the man. Being in that industry and making it for that long, that's awesome.
Thanks so much.
do you and Bill know each other?
We do. Yeah, we do. How's it going, Bill?
How's it going, Rob? Good to see you,
Good.
man.
You too.
Yeah, you got me. I got going on my 21st year, and it's been a wild ride.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
21's nothing, but 23.
Yeah, 23 is where it really no, but he's the senior guy here, so
Yeah, the problem is the 22, the year between.
That's
That's
where
a
it gets
hell year
tough.
to get to 23. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Bill, if you're a mortgage broker, I'm going to hand this back to Jay. Bill, talk to me, Goose. What is the 30-40 second elevator understanding of the business, the brand? What is maybe a little optics on the family, kids, wife, and then what is the big focus for 2026? And if you've got a word for it, share that with us as well.
Got it. So yeah, another residential mortgage guy. I've been doing
Oh,
it.
well, no, but not Bill. Bill,
Different Bill, Bill Ryman.
Other
Let me
Bill.
get out of here. I'm
Ryman.
gonna shut up.
Ryman.
I was wondering. I'm like, I just did
Yeah,
this.
I heard mortgage broker, so that threw me off. I was like, all right, it's other Bill.
Yeah.
So,
They were stacked
right
right
there
on
with
top
you,
of
Bill.
each other. Yeah. And he looked so professional there with the mic. I was like, this guy's got it. But then he's so professional. He's another mortgage broker. And I'm thinking,
No, I'm in the building business, luxury home builder, family-owned business. I've been involved in this business my whole entire life. Been from labor to field superintendent to now owner of the company. Family side, got a 2-year-old and another little girl on the way due in April. So I am in the thick of it here, and So excited for the year to come. Grateful, and grateful to be here with you guys too. My word, this year, I thought it was going to be something else, and then I, the word my word this year is faith, and it came to me more the last few days just because I had a Bible study and so on. I was going to do vitality because I've been working on my personal health a lot and trying to get to a different level on that. But um, one of my words a couple of years ago was intentional, and me being more intentional, faith kind of started. It just kept popping in, popping in, popping in. Like this morning, I get a verse every day fed to my phone. This morning was 1 Kings 8:61, and it said, "And may your hearts be fully committed to the Lord our God, to live by His decrees and obey His commands as at this time." So I was like, "Whoa, all right, I got this today. I'm sticking with faith, and why. Without faith, fear decides. With faith, purpose leads. I wrote that down earlier. And, you guys have probably heard the old proverb, where there is no vision, the people perish. My word last year was consistency. I think you can be as consistent as you want, but without faith or trust in God, what's the point? So I'm really going to dive into faith this year, really going to dive into getting into the Bible more, and just getting closer to God. So that's my word for this year.
What is the definition of faith? Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, yet not seen.
Mm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the starting point for greatness. What was your word last year?
Consistency was last year.
Consistency.
Yep.
Did you mention that? Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Okay. So consistency, now faith. Interesting. All right. Matt, Rob. We've done Rob. Okay, Stephen.
Boy,
How we doing today, buddy?
I'm
Give me
doing
30,
well.
40 seconds on the business, the brand, a little bit of family. What's the big focus 2026? If you've got a word for it. What was your word last year?
Sure. So I'll start off by saying Bill's a tough one to follow with that faith. Obviously, I'm guided by the Lord as well. Last year's word was relentless. Our brand, I work for OCF Realty and Jeff Silva's team. We hit our goal of 90 million. So to get to that goal, it was just, we were relentless. If you ever listen to the song by Imagine Dragons, whatever it takes, that was our motto for our team. And this year's word really is unbound, because we're really trying to stretch our limits from 90 million to 150 million. And the way in which we'll get to that goal is a lot different than what we had to do to get to 90 million. So we have to really get out of we have to outthink our limits in that regard. And then obviously, put it over in regards to faith, and give it over to God in a lot of in a lot of ways, right? That we ourselves can only do so much. So I really like Bill's idea with faith, that if we're guided by our Lord and Savior, anything, all things are possible, right? So that's a little bit about what we do as far as our direction, our goals. Um, the sky's the limit, unbound. We're there just to focus and maintain, and it's limitless, in other words. So it's pretty much what we're looking to do.
Yeah, my word was different for this year. And if everybody thinks just for 1 second, you've all had that thought, well, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would do it this way. because you could get a better, faster, more strategic result or better result, right? You would do it differently. And if you look at what you just said there, um, you did what you had to do to get to the 90, but then you might have to do something different to get to the 150. It doesn't mean it's better. It's understanding when to shift and when to do something different to get the different result or the next phase of results, because you got to do what you got to do to get to the 90. It just might not be the same thing to the 150. And, I think a lot of us have kind of reached that phase where maybe it's time to do something different that doesn't necessarily always mean better or bigger. Like the gentleman here was, the other Bill was saying, I don't necessarily think I want bigger. I kind of want to concentrate down and get better at what we're doing. The funny part is he's probably going to get bigger. As soon as he gets better, he's probably going to get bigger as a default result, right? So definitely hear what you're saying, brother. So Bill, Jim, I think we've hit everybody that is here for the first time. And then back to Bill. I'll give it to you real quick, just so everybody understands the difference between the two Bills. Go ahead, Bill. A little bit of 2026, the business. Let everybody know what you're working on, and then we'll skip right over here to Matt and Chase.
Yeah, whoop, am I on mute? No, I'm not. Another residential mortgage guy. I been doing it for going on 21 years. Had a little hiatus in 8 and 9. Thought I was going to get the heck out of the business and went all the way to financial planning. And I got hired at Merrill Lynch the day that they were getting sold to Bank of America. So I picked wisely. They were still at the time telling me, we're going to growth mode, we're going to pick up market share. And then I got my Series 7, 66, and then, like 5 months in, they cut the program and I jumped back to mortgages, but fell in love with kind of financial markets, fell in love with kind of that advisory approach, brought that back into the mortgage business. And as I, talked on the last call, that's kind of our approach to really be a planner, to be a strategist. We'll work with all sorts of buyers. We love working with investors and people that want to use real estate as a tool to grow wealth. So that's a little bit on the residential mortgage side. And I'm also doing for the last 18 months some real estate development. We mentioned it's not ground up, but we're doing big, turning 1,000 square foot homes into 3,400 square foot homes, and do a little bit of private lending as well that I've been dabbling in. So it's kind of been my focus. It's funny, my internet kicked out, so I forget who was it that said they used the Chat GPT to say, hey, what you know about me, what would be the word?
Nope, that was me.
That was you. I used that. That was great. And then whoever came after you, because I can't find it because my internet kicked it out. Whoever came after you and said, my word is this. I think it was integration or something. It was the same word. I don't know if ChatGPT's got a algorithm for guys like us. But I want to consolidate. I want to systematize, as you indicated, right? When you start doing those things and improving, while growth isn't my focus, and getting kind of consolidated with the growth we've had over the last few years, I'm sure that it will be a byproduct of it once, we kind of create some additional systems and kind of guardrails to kind of sustain the recent growth we've had. Mainly growth the mortgage business has grown just kind of slow and consistent. I'm content with that after 2020 and 2021. But the growth really has been kind of integrating this second business channel without going crazy.
It's always a interesting challenge to figure out how to pull another revenue lever with the same customer or asset, right? So it sounds like you've done a pretty good job of that. Matt, or actually, let's hit Chase next as well. Chase just got through doing a day with Jay, so he's got a little residual energy left over from that. Chase, give us a little understanding of what you're working on, and then we'll skip right over to Matt.
Thanks, Mike. Guys, I'm Chase, the owner of CMG Landscaping. I'm located here in the Philadelphia main line. On top of the landscaping, I kind of do consulting in this space, coaching consulting. So I have like an online presence and I sell coaching packages to guys in this space that want to move from lawn care into project-based landscaping. I do a little bit of real estate. So my word was simplify for 2026 so I can scale.
It reminds me of the Lexus. Remember the Lexus commercial? You might be too young, Chase, but the Lexus commercial, it used to have, a kind of a dramatic theme to it. And then it would say something like the pursuit of perfection, right? And what it was doing is a guided conclusion illustration of how much can we remove, how much can we simplify without affecting or maybe even enhancing the product, right? So decluttering, less buttons, sleek, but still making the product better. And I think what you and Bill are kind of alluding to is concentration, focus, streamlining, efficiency, and it's kind of like in racing, slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Matt McHale.
Yes, sir.
Your turn, brother.
So yeah, I help companies grow, profit, nonprofit, blah blah blah. I've got multiple podcasts with Jay. Go back and watch one of those if you want to know more about me. But I want to talk about some of the things we've covered here so far. And my word. So I put it in the ChatGPT in the last one because it's like, yeah, Jay asked, but I never did anything. And I said, of all the things you know about me, come up with a word. It came up with stewardship. And since I've kind of really been thinking about that and looking at it, and Bill and Stephen, I love that you brought up your faith as well, because when we look at any word, there's multiple definitions of a word, and certainly from a faith standpoint, we can look at what's a biblical definition versus the word definition. So stewardship, if I'm looking at it biblically, would be wisely managing everything that God has entrusted us with, all of our talents and our resources and relationships. So it takes on a much meaningful, a more meaningful impact from that standpoint and looking at it. And Chase, you had a different word, but you put it in there, and he came up with leverage. And I love that for him too, because Mike, what you just said, if we could go back and do it differently, well, we can't, and we all know that. And I wouldn't if I could, because if we went back and did something, we might take a left where we took a right last time and got run over by a Mack truck and not be here. So beating ourselves up on things that we did or didn't do doesn't do any good. But leveraging, and this is what I was saying to you, Chase, leveraging the our relationships and all those things, but just the knowledge that we have right here and what we're talking through, and these guys are kind of sharing. To at your age of 24 versus, the range of what we have here, you're able to leverage that knowledge, those things. Think of Edison. He failed 1,000 times with the light bulb. Well, what if Edison and Tesla worked together? Tesla's like, you know what? I failed this many times. I tried it this way. How about you knowing that? Leveraging that, they both would have got there quicker and probably better than what we have now. So that's that leverage word. That's when I said that's great for you. I love that, and I love that Jay puts these things together. Whether it's this podcast or the network that he builds out there and does that. I was able to leverage my relationship with Jay when I was like, hey, what? I'm looking for companies to work with, and he's like, hey, you know Brian Hess, right? And I knew Brian from Clubhouse and some other things in the past, and he reintroduced us, and I've just been absolutely blessed, to be able to work with the Pavement Group and Brian Hess and Mike and that whole team over there. Just phenomenal company, So and it's just by leveraging, just by saying to Jay, hey, you know anybody looking, and it's just been a blessing. So those are those kind of things when we just, look at these, find a word or those things, when you really start to look at it and the different definitions it has, or the way it can go through these things and really look at the true meaning behind it and spend a little more time, there's some phenomenal things that come out of just those little things like that.
Agreed. Jay, back to you, brother. What are you thinking? We've run a few different formats. Again, guys, we've been doing this since 5 a.m. this morning. Seeing the talent and the valuable relationships on the call, what are you thinking you want to do next here on this one?
I'm inspired by the attention, like the intention that there's a couple things. One, I'm inspired by the attention that everyone is giving to one another. I have benefited from getting to know all of you over the years and seeing you, like with my attention on you, seeing you show up in the relationships that matter to you, that you're paying attention to, and I've learned a lot from you through osmosis. So for everyone to be here and give everyone our attention, I think what's inspiring to me is to think that millions of people are listening to this, and the example of it is going to, transcend whatever we do for the next 20 minutes. So that's number one. That's more philosophical. Number two is, I really would like to know, from you, Mike, I was so inspired by that referral concept. Is that something you think would make sense to do again?
Well, here's a couple things. So,
or from your experience, what would you say you've seen?
Yeah, so you have a lot of mortgage guys on here, and we have a lot of real estate guys on here. The magazine, was it NMP or MNP with Andrew?
The National Mortgage Professional Magazine.
Why don't you just in the chat just get the guy's information in there, because they should be connecting with Andrew, looking at how they can get more exposure for their services, their brands, their businesses. If he's doing any type of podcasting or events, or if there's special opportunities in the magazine, digitally or in print, like how do we get them more value through that relationship? And I think the magazine guys are always looking for great stories, great articles. They're looking for great advertisers. Just I don't have all of Andrew's information.
I'll make that happen. I appreciate that ask. And I do have a question for Jim Sabellico, because when you said last year was bold and you're moving into alignment, can you describe what that process was of thinking through that? And the reason I ask is much of what's been talked about has been, I've heard consistency, simplicity, integration. I think of simplicity, right? Lowering, simplicity coming before integration, consistency coming before focus, like this bold to alignment. What was your journey? How did you come to that word versus bold? And
Thank you for the question. I think the answer to me would be stripping down the things that don't belong to me and getting back to really who God designed me to be. So for me, I feel like it's understanding you can't live your life being 10 different versions of yourself, where you try and be successful in the professional world and then don't recognize your family, or you try and be a super dad on the weekends, but like it just doesn't pan out because you're trying to be 5 different versions of yourself in 5 different places. So for me, it was really about just understanding, hey, who was I designed to be, and not living this fake version of myself that you got to put on a mask every time you talk to a different person. And it's kind of this freedom that comes from just being able to be unapologetically authentic. Like you just show up as you in every relationship you go to, and some people are going to love you for it. Some people won't, but it's not a reflection on you. And, when you can step boldly into that, it kind of affords you the permission to then go and be that version of yourself and show up at all those places. When I think about the words we're sharing here, whether it's consistency or simplicity, it to me all comes back to that alignment with who you were originally designed to be and stepping into that. And I think, that's why it's so important for my perspective to be able to do that. And I think really the only way that you can do that is with tribe, right? You got to be around some people who are going to love you for who you are and lift you up when you're not being that best version of yourself, to hold you accountable, to kind of call you up to the standard that you're supposed to be living. And this is a room full of people like that. So, honor to you for being able to, accumulate so many relationships and honor those relationships enough for those people to be willing to spend their New Year's Eve here doing that same thing. But I think really that's, to me, it's about that alignment.
I really resonate with what you just said, because I think my anxiety around being who I am and the fear of not being accepted or pushed away is actually behind interviewing 345 unique human beings on the Culture Matters podcast. Most of them more than once, into the 5, 6, 10, 20 times. And then finally, all these years later, inviting all my friends in my house to play with me, hoping that. So thank you for sharing that. That's actually helped me right now on a deep level, because I don't think I would. Yeah, that I got to re-listen to this. Definitely got to re-listen. Well, all of them, but I'm curious.
Great answer, Jim. Great. That was
Bill,
very well articulated.
What? Yeah, we met Chris Vester's on it next. We met through Chris Vester. It's great. 10 a.m. If anyone, I'm going to email everyone the link. By the way, that I figured out a way to keep it going. We have all these different rooms, and if you don't know where the room is, you end up in the wrong room, or people, in another building. So I'm going to email everybody together the link for the next room, and if you want to go in that room, you can. But either way, then you'll be connected, so you can get to know each other later on your own.
So I just wanted to bring up something real quick. But are you trying to wrap this one up?
No, I was going to ask Bill Reiman something, but go ahead.
Well, go ahead, and then I'll go.
Bill, can you elaborate on the faith piece? Like you said, consistency last year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you were was your consistent? Like, what role did being consistent or inconsistent play into the faith piece? Like, were you consistent and then you got to faith, or were you less consistent than you would have wanted to be and realized you needed faith? Like, I'm curious how you got to there, or if there's a connection at all.
Yeah, there's always a connection, man. I was, to answer your question, I was consistent in other outside things. When you talk consistency, it's like your business, your workouts, your diet, these external things that don't really amount to anything. I mean, you can be as consistent as you want, but if there's no faith, what do you have? And that's where the reflection started happening. Like, without faith, there's nothing. I mean, without, I said that quote earlier, without faith, fear decides, with faith, purpose leads. And it's, one of my words 2 years ago was being intentional. And the more intentional I become in noticing things and what do I need in my life, I'm yearning more for a relationship with God, because when I have that relationship, there's no fear, there's no anxiety, there's no, everything just comes naturally, right? And it's like we're all in business, man. We're all in this big chase. We're all trying to be the best versions of ourselves. We're all, after 100 million in revenue or 150 million in revenue, whatever it is. But if you don't have faith, you don't have a relationship with God, what's that matter, right? And that's where that came from into my mind. And that for this year is like, I want to build on that relationship, because I had Bible study last night, and we were talking about like, all those foundations of what God brings you, and without them, you're lost. There's nothing. Like, my goal is to be the best husband I can be, the best father I can be, the best servant to the man upstairs that I can be. And to get there, I need to dive in more. Was I consistent in my Bible? No. I mean, I was here and there, yes, probably more than I ever was the prior year, but now I want to make it that daily, that daily dive, that thing that I need where I know scripture, I can just quote it without having to write it down. Like that's the intensity I want to get with into my faith with God.
Jim, you shared something in the chat.
Yeah. I actually shared this on our podcast last New Year's Eve. But just the concept is that faith and fear both require you to believe in something you can't see. So you kind of got to decide which one of those two you want to, stake your claim in.
What book are you reading right now in the Bible, Bill?
Right now I'm in the New Testament. I went through John, and now we are on to let's see where my last mark, because a lot of the times I'll just flip into the New Testament. I'm actually in Acts now.
No, I was getting ready to say you should take Acts and go verse by verse through that book, slow and steady, maybe 2 or 3 times, and digest Acts really, really good. And then maybe go back and look at how it connects the dots from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, connects the dots through some of the prophets, connects the dots all the way back to Genesis. But like Acts is the pivotal. That's the transition to the dispensation of the age of grace, which is where we're at right now, right? And it's like just my best recommendation, like for what you're saying.
Can each person just without by the intuition, just one at a time, what's the big lesson from the year that's just passed? So 2025. If you summarize it in a sentence.
I'll jump in first. I'll say the world as a whole can be an awful place. I think we've seen a lot of people do some pretty crummy things, but none of those are an excuse for us to do the same. I think that's an opportunity for us to show up and shine our own light and be an example, because more people need to see that picture of possibility. And it's going to take us standing up and sometimes being that quiet voice to be the only one willing to stand up and shine our light, because one light can change the darkness.
Man, nobody wants to go after Jim, I can tell you that.
I know he sounds like a president or something like that.
I have one for you. Don't buy crypto. Kidding.
Who's next?
I'll take it if nobody else wants it. So just really move on. Don't let what has weighed you down in the past continue to weigh you down. Like if you say you're going to move on, really move on emotionally, physically, just shedding certain things from your past professional life, personal life. It's a great feeling. So. And if I'm being authentic here, Bill Reiman, those ball cubes that you have with the signed baseballs that are getting the sunlight on them, please, as a memorabilia enthusiast, move them to the other side. They will fade.
The good ones are on the other side over
there
here.
You go.
So,
there you go.
yeah,
Okay,
that's unfortunately a Mike Trout ball, and that thing,
okay.
I don't even know if it's these. That's Willie Mays and Sandy Koufax. So those are on the
hopefully
darker side.
Hopefully Trout can still reinvigorate his career at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, you guys know things. This is cool. I don't know what you know, but it looks interesting. Who's
Yeah,
next?
I would say from last year, there's the phrase consistent discipline compounded daily equals transformation. If you take discipline out of that, consistency compounded daily equals transformation, because that can be a bad thing too. So if you consistently don't do something, like I didn't work out as much as I should have, it's one of those things where you fall out of doing something daily, and 3-4 days go by, and all of a sudden that's a habit, and that's a bad habit. So it works both ways. If you just take that discipline out of there, so it just shows that you have people like Jocko and everything where that's his word all the time, because it just shows how important that discipline is. I just need to share this. So you guys have talked about your faith and everything, and this I found this out the other day, and this blew me away. That I never realized this before. And he was talking about Judas, and if you go back and read that, and he's talking about the Last Supper when he's like, "One of you going to betray me," and they all say, "Is it me, Lord? Is it me, Lord?" And then finally he said, the person share that bowl with, and it turned to Judas, and Judas said, "Is it me, Rabbi?" The rest of them said, "Is it me, Lord?" And he said, "Is it me, Rabbi?" Judas never had the faith that the other ones had. He never saw him as Lord. He saw him as a wise man. He saw him as a rabbi, but he never saw him as Lord. He never had that faith in him, and that's what led to him being able to betray him. And it just blew me away that I never noticed that before and never saw that. So when you're talking about Acts, Mike, and going back through some of that stuff, it talks about that in detail, and it's something I never realized before.
So I say slow and just digest it, because you'll start to pick the words have meanings, and it's so, especially the King James, the original, not the new King James, but the original King James. It's so specific in every word that was chosen. It's wild.
Who's next?
Jay, I'll go. I mean, there's a reason why the windshield's larger than the rear view mirror. So we constantly have to move towards the future. We can't dwell on past experiences. And, there's opportunities that always present. So future's always brighter. Us as humans, I mean, talk about the Lord, we're moral beings, and we make mistakes, and we have to take those mistakes and treat it as life experience, and just treat it as such, as an opportunity just to get better.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Who's left?
I can go. I'd say just be present. That's been a big thing with me, is trying to, just be more present with my son, be more present with my wife, be not just in business and at work with my employees or my team members, but just be present as a father. I was listening to Jay. You sent me all the past podcasts with all the guys in here. I was listening to the one with Jim. And what stood out to me, what Jim talked about, I think, Jim, you talked about at one point you were working so much, there was like half a birthday cake. And that really was a turning point in your life. That stood out to me too. I mean, because we can work and work and work and give as much as possible to our families, but if we're not there, we're not showing up to our kids and being present. What's it all for? So that was a huge takeaway I had from that podcast, Jim.
I think I'll end it here. I might be the last person, but I think Jay, to answer your question, the biggest learning lesson from this past year would be leadership. I think so far in my business career, it was like, let's say 5 years ago, I was like so stuck on sales or marketing, like closing deals and how to gain that skill set. And I think this year was a huge jump forward for myself in like leadership and learning how to basically trust your gut or have the ball, so to speak, to make hiring and firing decisions and kind of like grow into that leadership role. And it's definitely not easy. So definitely will always be learning about like leadership and the different decisions you have to make when you're leading a team.
So I'm going to add to that, Chase. So there's a gentleman in our community board of advisors that gave me a totally different perspective on leadership. It's one thing to think about leadership, learn about leadership, and try to be a better leader. Little leverage in all of that. There's a ton of leverage in building great leaders. He went from 30 leaders to 60 leaders in 1 year. And all he did was focus on building leaders. And he went from just under 300, it was like 250 insurance agents, to almost 700. It was 670 something insurance agents in 1 year. But he only focused on 30 new leaders. It's the leverage in building great leaders within your organization and just life in general is leverage.
No, 100%. 100%.
Everyone, I just emailed all of you the next session. I think we're going to take a few minutes to urinate, wash our hands, talk in the mirror. I'm just projecting. I'm going to do all these things. I put a steak in the air fryer. I'm the
Jay's
Bradley
giving us
method.
his list of what he's going to do. So that means we're going to do the same thing, guys.
At 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., I put a steak in the air fryer for 15 minutes because I knew I was going to be able to eat something. Because last year I learned from Michael Dean Calhoun as he was going around. He had a sandwich he was eating all day. It took him the whole day to eat the sandwich. So I'm just going to eat some of the steak as we go through. Please connect one another. You're on email. Meet each other in the future. If you want to show up to 10 a.m., we'll see you then. More
and
friends.
Jay, real quick, for the podcast listeners can't have this, but I know you've led all these guys to the Culture Matters Collaborative on your Facebook group, which would be great for everybody to interact with there too. So
this is why I need you in my life. If everyone's not
on that, please get on that.
Culture Matters.
You'll be getting an invite, and obviously, this is, as Churchill said, this is not the beginning of the end, but the end to the beginning. And if we don't end this soon, I'm going to start reading from Zarathustra. So,
hey, I can tell you this. You guys need to go live this year. 2026, go live.
Matt, what did you say?
Media.
What did you say, Matt McHale? What
Absolutely,
did you say?
Mike.
Matt, tell him what you tell us what we needed.
Yeah, no, get on there, join that Culture Matters Collaborative group on Facebook because
no, I meant the live thing.
There. But I was going to say that, but the live, I told Jay like this should have been live all day because it's just been live and the amount of people you can attract there, especially if we set it up right, had on YouTube, did some of the shorts and stuff, but we'll get there. But man, all you guys need to go out there and get live, like share your knowledge, share your wisdom, share your hearts, man. That's the biggest thing I took from all of you. Is just you're sharing it from the from your heart. You're sharing real stuff, and I love it. So I appreciate meeting all of you and just hearing all you guys and your knowledge and wisdom. Thanks for putting this together, Jay.
Yeah, happy New Year's. So everyone knows, we have about 70 people like that. Everyone has something. Not just everyone has value, and so you're more than welcome. It's an open door. Meaning the door is there, the lock is open, you just got to push it. The lock is open, you just got to push it. So you're all welcome. And we're going till 12 a.m. And now I've lost 4 minutes. I said I need right. Let's go to the bathroom. I'll see you in 10 a.m.
Oh,
man.
Oh,
Jay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks all.